And we're back.
And we're back. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
You're looking great today.
Thanks. I probably should wash this outfit now for 4 days.
Same.
But yeah, but it's
I
okay.
think I've just been sitting in this chair for 4 days, so it's okay. All right, high character and hard work.
This is it.
To me, this
above
is
all else.
Above all else.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think this is the linchpin under everything.
It is,
I've
for
always
sure.
said that because if everyone matters, you got to have high character. That's hard work to really live that out. If you're going to take care of everybody, you got to have high character, right? If you're a great leader and you're serving others, that's hard, right? You have to have high character. And then, of course, the hardest thing is always know where you stand, is being able to do that. So, to me, this linchpins and bring us all together. But I'd love to hear your perspective on the value of high character and hard work above all else.
Yeah, so this is, again, one I'd mentioned, as we were sort of, this is another one where, like Leadership is Here to Serve, I would say grit has always been part of the company ethos. It's just who we really want to be from our founding. And so we were like, okay, we got to make sure we never lose that. So let's put this in. And I'll just address this, that the high character piece was interesting. We, unfortunately, I will say, had fallen into a trap in the company in 2016 and 17 where we had just allowed too many assholes to be here, and it was, oh, you're successful and you're doing well and you're high in spreads, so yeah, you're sort of a jerk, we'll sort of look past that. And we got to a point where that was so destructive for our culture, and also, like, we were so big at that point, it was like, what are this, we're not going to, like, hit our numbers as a company because it's one person. And so if they're a jerk, they just cannot work here anymore. And it's funny when you have these values all of a sudden now, people that are mean or have low character, they stick out like a sore thumb, right? And so you got to get them out of the company. And so I won't say we had a purge, but we definitely had several people that we had to exit because they just didn't align with that value. And it really made it simple around who should work here and who doesn't. Do you have high character and hard work above all else? The hard work piece, Jarrod, I think is so important. It was important then, but it's especially important now because I don't know what's happened in the last 5-6 years since COVID, but it does feel like the world has lost their mind a little bit. It's like, I don't know if it's the work from home thing. I don't know what it is, but it is, we've gotten, I feel like, really soft as a people. And it is still the real world will beat you down if you let it. In a services company like ours, services industry like ours, how you win is hustle and grit. Yeah, sure, it helps if you understand a thing or two about IT, if you're doing IT staffing, but really, you got to outwork. You got to out-hustle. It's not like we have some special pool of candidates that no other staffing company knows about. It's not like we're calling on some secret customers that nobody knows about. Secrets out, like the Fortune 500 hires contractors. So, by the way, how do we win? It's bill more than you pay. So that business model is not really hard to figure out. So how do you win? You outwork, you out-hustle your competition. And so that's what we're just always going to be very clear on. We can do a lot here. We can teach a lot. We can teach so much here. I can't teach hustle and grit, though. I can't teach high character and hard work. And that's what our people have to have. And for some reason, society, it seems like our last few years has, like, I don't know, made that demonize that or is trying to make people soft. And so what I would tell anybody, especially the people in our company, is that it is not hard to be great these days because so many people are weak. And so if you can have the discipline to the process, if you can have the just the character of grit and hard work inside you, you can dominate out there because not a lot of people are wanting to do that.
Yeah, that's great. And something we're focused on as an organization this year is really hiring great people that have that hustle and grit. And as you said, we feel like there's a lot of softness out in the world. So how do you identify it? How can you see someone? How would you know and be able to go, okay, I can see that person has that hustle and has that grit. How do you help identify those
Super
things?
hard. I'll just say, man, it is hard. I mean, because most people on interviews don't lead with, I just don't work that hard, so it's hard. And I will say, I don't think I'm an expert at it, and we're always trying to sort of figure that one out. But I think you just got to sort of take your time on the interview process. I think you got to ask a lot of questions. The question that I like to ask is, hey, tell me a time in your life that you had to work really hard, that you had to show an immense amount of grit. At our company, we think that high character and hard work above all else, it is a core value. We think that you can be really successful here so long as you have grit. So somewhere in your background, it could be something you did as a middle schooler. It could be a summer job you had. It could be a sports team. Help me see, like, where did you have to really flex those muscles? And I'm not even really looking for a story. I'm not looking for like, well, here's this tangible example. Here's this story. What I'm looking for is like the person's face to change. I'm looking for it to like come out of them. I'm looking for them to be like, oh, okay, I'm looking for them to sit up on the edge of their seat and be like, finally, here's a company that doesn't care about where I came from or who my parents know. They care about me and what I can bring. And let me tell you what I can bring. That's what I'm looking for. And if I can get that, that's huge. I'm like, yep, when can you start? I don't really care about anything else. I don't care if you graduated from college. I don't care if you had some amazing internship. All those things are nice, and it's probably a good idea to go to college and fine. But really what I care about the stuff that's in here. And so in the interview process, I think you got to be really intentional to try to dig at that. And something else I would say too is that sometimes I've asked people that question and you kind of catch them off guard. And what's worse is when you're interviewing somebody that you really like and you ask them a question like that and they give you a crappy answer. You're like, oh, I don't like that. And so then like we'll move past it. But like what I do instead is I'll say, hey, Jarrod, I didn't really like that answer. Sorry. Can you take a beat? Can you think of something better and like really put it on me? Like give me a better answer. One, you do that in an interview. It's really funny. People are like, it's like you broke some interview rule. But you can start to really get to the real person. And that's where, I did that once. And, this person told me to say, like, well, I think graduating college was really great, and I was really proud of that. And I could just tell, like, again, not to diss college, but I could tell from how she answered, like, that wasn't it. And so I pressed her, and she said, okay, you want to know the hardest time I worked? She told me about a time in college when she worked a summer job at a Captain D's, peeling shrimp tails off of shrimp for like 6 hours a day until her fingers were like calloused. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the one I want to hire. If you're willing to peel shrimp tails in Texas for 6 hours a day wearing a sailor's hat, like that's cool. That's you can sell staffing, right? Yeah.
Well, what's your story? Well, if someone asked you that in an interview, what would be the story that you would share?
Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't, that's you're sort of tapping into something personal. I don't want to get emotional, but man, I grew up in just a great household, but a humble household, and we didn't have a lot, and I had very average grades, and so I knew if I wanted to achieve something, I was going to have to find a company that let me work really hard and let me put my hard work on display. And I realized I had that from a summer job that I had in the town I grew up in South Alabama. I worked for a vet one summer. This is the summer after high school, in between high school and college. I worked for a vet, and it's funny, I had no experience in veterinarian places. I go to these vet places today, and there's like 25 people working there. Where I worked, it was the vet, the front desk lady, and me. And so I took care of like all of the kennels, right? Like we had like 16 stalls, and I'd have to get there every morning at 5 a.m., let them out. You may not know this when you board your dog, but they go to the bathroom in their stalls, every single one of them. And so you got to clean that out, and that takes you like 2 hours. You got to then squeeze it out. You got to dry it out so the dog's going to get back in and it's wet. And then you have to do that. You got to do that whole process about 2 or 3 times a day with every single one of your dogs. You can't let them all out together because then they'll like mess around and fight. At least we didn't. I dealt with all sorts of animals and dogs and stuff coming in. Had all sorts of things and issues, and I had to bathe them and stuff. And I worked probably 14 hours a day. 6 days a week for that summer. And I learned 2 things. One, I never wanted to be a vet. I was like, this job, nope, don't want to do this. By the way, I don't even think they make enough money. So I'm like, that's not doing that. That's a hard job. But the second thing I learned was that, okay, I've got a work ethic. I know that if I can literally be up to my elbows in dog poo for 16 to 14 hours a day for 3 months in the South Alabama heat, I think I can do anything. And so I would say that is just one part of my grit story.
Yeah, it's a great story. I think you called me out in the beginning of it, but above all else, like that's an important piece of this.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that important to have at the end of the value? High character, hard work, above all else.
Because it's above all else, I think. I mean, it is that. It's you gotta. I think if you're building a company, organization, sports team, church, anything, if your people have high character, and that's hard, but if they have high character, and if they have a strong work ethic, you're going to dominate. Like you can do anything you want. You can do anything you want if you have those things. And so, sometimes I think we overcomplicate it and we overthink it. And do they have the right skills and do they know all the right stuff? And I don't care about any of that. If you have character and if you have work ethic, you are unstoppable.
Yeah. Awesome.
Great.
Thank you, Bert.
Yeah, this is fun, Jarrod.
This is fun. One more tomorrow.
Let's do it again tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Okay, bye.
See ya.